Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 telephoto camera, massive 6200 mAh battery, and a host of other interesting features. Yet, the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus still cannot record 4K videos from its selfie camera. Xiaomi, why? Okay, let's dial it back a bit. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus is the first Redmi phone since the Note 10 Pro to really give me that solid mid-range feel. It just feels right, except for the lack of 4K recording from its selfie camera. That has to be criminal at this point, but we'll get into the details later. So let's start this review proper from the basics. This is Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, and with all the features Xiaomi has packed in here, it's looking like a really solid upgrade, mostly. So this has only launched in China. A global launch will likely happen early next year, but if you are impatient like me, you can pick up one from AliExpress. You just have to keep in mind the obvious. It's the Chinese version, so China ROM. You can easily install Play Store and remove the tons of Chinese applications, although not completely, but that's not a problem. I know a lot of users that prefer the Chinese ROM because it's more stable and it gets better support. With that said, this one is thick and with a sizable camera bump. It's a tough one too with a solid build. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus is currently retailing for just under $400 on AliExpress. That gets you the base version with 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage, which is not expandable. Xiaomi made a questionable decision with this one. So the base version of the 14 Pro Plus comes with slower UFS 2.2 storage and LPDDR4X RAM, while the 16 gig version has UFS 3.1 and LPDDR5. That was not the case with the predecessor, and I have no idea why they chose to do that this time. But what does this mean? For better context, it simply means that the 16 gig version will be faster when it comes to data intensive tasks or high performance scenarios. It will also feel more responsive with better load times, faster file transfer. You get the gist. Now, if your use case is the standard, it probably won't mean much, but if you want the best of the Note 14 series, just keep the base version. There's nothing new for the unboxing experience. It comes with the typical accessories, but this time we get a 90 watts charging brick. With the predecessor, it was 120 watts. This one supports no more than 90 watts charging. While you might want to complain or see it as a downgrade, I would say the decision is mostly due to the fact that we're getting a significantly larger battery here. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus sports a 6200 mAh battery. That should be the largest you can find on any mid-range or flagship phone if I'm correct. The battery size is a good explanation for why the phone got noticeably thicker. Also a good reason why we can't have 120 watts charging here, because they have to consider the possibility of the phone overheating at such charging speeds and what it would mean for the battery lifespan. That's what I think, at least, not that I'm a professional on battery and charging technology. Plus, 90 watts charging is still pretty fast and you can still charge over 50% within 20 minutes. So, no complaints there. A first look at the Note 14 Pro Plus and you can instantly tell the design has changed drastically compared to the previous generation. The obvious indicator of that is the camera arrangement on the rear. I saw a lot of comments on my unboxing video saying it doesn't look nice, but I think it looks cool. It's a sizable camera bump though. The Note 14 Pro Plus comes in 3 colors, black, white, and green. I went with the white because white phones are just awesome. It doesn't seem like there's a leather version this time around. It's a glossy finish on the rear and it has this nice cloud pattern. The frame is glossy, but on the top and bottom part it's matte textured. Not sure if it's metal or plastic, but it feels solid. The build quality of the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus is right up there with the flagships. It uses Gorilla Glass Victus 2 for the display, and on the rear it's also glass, probably Gorilla Glass 7i, but I was not able to confirm it. Based on durability tests I've seen though, it's a tough phone. Sorry, I won't be doing durability tests on this one. I don't want to blemish a beautiful white phone. I can do a bend test though, at least it will leave no scratches. Let's try that. Yes, it's a solid phone. There's a pre-installed screen protector on the display which you might not notice unless you look carefully. The 14 Pro Plus has an IP68 rating for dust and water resistance, but Redmi took it a bit further to get it certified by TUV SUD. That is so it can survive submersion in 2 meters of water for up to 24 hours. Yeah, let's leave it there for a while. It should survive. It's not quite 2 meters, but since they say it can survive up to 24 hours, let's see. It should survive a few minutes, I hope. Is that bubbles I see? Oh well, let's leave it there. Moving on. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus features a 6.67 inches curved AMOLED display with 2.7K resolution and 120Hz refresh rate. It supports HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision and has a peak brightness of 3000 nits. It gets pretty bright. The display is vibrant and it looks great. Now, media consumption will not be a problem here, especially with those loud and clear stereo speakers. Now, I said at the start that in a long time, I've not had a Redmi phone give me that feeling of the Note 10 Pro. That was one of Redmi's best ever phones. The 14 Pro Plus just has that vibe and I can't quite explain it. It's really smooth surfing through the UI. Now, the only thing I noticed with the animations here is that there is a split-second delay that happens sometimes when I'm launching applications. But that's probably ignorable if you are not picky about animations or app launch speeds. This might not be present with the 16GB version since that has faster RAM and storage. We have HyperOS on Android 14 at the moment, and as expected, you will get a ton of bloatware applications and more if you are picking up the China version. It has been smooth sailing for the most part, but on 2 occasions I've experienced apps crashing randomly, and when I try to relaunch, it just won't work. It was not as a result of the app updating in the background, and this is not the first time I've experienced this with HyperOS. That aside, the software experience is great. I don't know if this will be getting the newer version of HyperOS, that's HyperOS 2.0 I believe, but let's hope it comes and soon. That's and Android 15 of course. Redmi promised 3 OS upgrades for the Note 14 Pro Plus. Not the most you can get on a mid-range phone, but it's good enough. It has Mi AI though, but I think that's exclusive to the Chinese version. The processor powering the 14 Pro Plus is the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3. The Snapdragon fans are probably excited for this one, and it will be great if the global version has the same specifications. It does not have the highest benchmark scores compared to other mid-rangers in this category, case in point the Dimensity 8200, but it's an improvement from the Dimensity 7200 on its predecessor. Now, one of the perks of Snapdragon processors is the level of optimization they get with a ton of apps, including games when it comes to graphics performance. But that does not automatically translate to efficiency on overall gaming performance, and I'll explain that shortly. The Note 14 Pro Plus is solid on performance for your everyday requirements from a smartphone. It is not lacking when it comes to multitasking, and it should handle heavy usage too. If you love gaming, you will appreciate the fact that this has been optimized to give high graphics performance for most games. For context, Call of Duty Warzone Mobile can achieve peak graphics performance here. Not even the Xiaomi 14T with its Dimensity 8300 can achieve that. Mind you, the 8300 is a more powerful processor. But there's a catch. While you can play at peak graphics on the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus, the gameplay is not always flawless. You will enjoy it for the most part, but you will experience occasional lags and the device will get noticeably hot. It did not overheat in my experience, but just keep that in mind. So, while you can get really good graphics performance here, frame rates won't go as high. With Call of Duty Mobile, to play on max frame rate settings, you need to drop the graphics settings to high. Now, the graphics can be set to max, but the frame rate drops to very high. I got more consistency on COD Mobile than I had with Warzone. For the PUBG lovers, you can play at Ultra HDR graphics settings with the frame rate set to Ultra. The max frame rate settings available here is Extreme, no Extreme Plus, even if you set it to smooth graphics, which brings me to the fact that high graphics optimization does not exactly mean the best gaming performance. The likes of the Infinix GT20 Pro can do 120 FPS on PUBG. The Game Turbo on the Note 14 Pro Plus allows you to set the device to dedicate more resources to performance for better gaming experience. I doubt you'd mind that if gaming is a priority for you, it comes with the hobby. It is worth noting that the 16GB version with its faster storage might contribute to smoother gaming performance, but I think the base version still does great. The battery life is nothing short of great, and that is expected thanks to the large 6200 mAh packed in here. The battery technology is better as they've used silicon carbide, which is densely packed. Now, while it made the phone heavier, it's still not as heavy as a Galaxy S24 Ultra or iPhone 16 Pro Max. Actually about the same as the Galaxy A55. Let's check on that phone. Yep, still working. So, about those cameras. We finally got a telephoto camera. That's a first for the Note series, I believe. It's a 50 megapixel telephoto camera with 2.5x optical zoom. The main camera sees a downgrade from 200 megapixels on the predecessor to a more standard 50 megapixel. The ultra wide remains 8 megapixels. There's no useless 2 megapixel macro camera this time. The selfie camera is now upgraded to 20 megapixels. Now, the Note 14 Pro Plus captures some really good looking photos from its rear cameras. Coming from the 13 Pro Plus, dynamic range and contrast is improved. Although sometimes not as sharp, I can say the overall processing is better here. Colors are well represented and it does a good job with skin tones. When using the telephoto camera though, while you can get some good looking results, the images can sometimes come out soft. The selfie camera has seen some improvements with skin tones. If you disable the default beauty filters, you can get sharp results. On video, compared to the last generation, it handles noise better in the shadows. It can shoot videos at 4K 30 frames per second from the rear cameras. The optical image stabilization is great and the video output is satisfactory. There's a teleprompter mode you can enable when using the selfie camera, which is great, but I think the fact that it can only shoot 1080p kind of defeats the purpose, because as a creator, I'd rather take my chances with the rear cameras because I prefer to record in 4K. The Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus is a solid phone. It stands out in terms of durability and battery life. The cameras are great, not the best in its price range, but great, and you can also do more if you use Gcam. It offers a good balance of features and performance, but the lack of 4K recording on the selfie camera is something you might want to be wary of. Also, if you want the best it has to offer, you should be going for the 16 gig version. I think it has stayed in there long enough. It's working. Yeah, it's working. It was actually there for about 17 minutes. Recording takes some time, but yeah, that's the Redmi Note 14 Pro Plus. I'll be looking forward to the global launch. Peace out. If it stops working later, I can always update you guys.